Ashidelek, everybody. Happy Pure Wednesday. Hakarsang. And welcome to Wednesdays with Rinpoche. So today, I think you have seen my Facebook post. I just post something that doesn't make sense. And I just kind of like realize life is sometime makes sense, sometime nothing makes sense. So nothing really makes sense, right? Doesn't it? So there are always lots of spiritual lessons that we learn from a simple pizza joke, right? Like there's sometime maybe you have heard this very popular Buddhist Zen joke. A Zen monk went into the pizza shop, and so they asked, "How do you want your pizza like?" And the monk said, "I want one with everything." And then the person who took the order and made one with everything on it, topping, and then the Zen master gave him $20 bill, and then the store person actually kind of kept the $20 bills, and Zen master said, "Where is my change?" And he said, "The change comes from within." So, and that's kind of like a pizza joke. I don't know. At the beginning, when I first came to America, many people actually tell me this joke, and I was like, "Huh? What's the joke about?" So, and I remember one time His Holiness the Dalai Lama was interviewed in this one big media by one American media person, and so he was kind of like cracking a joke with His Holiness the Dalai Lama about this pizza joke, and then Dalai Lama was, "Huh? What are you saying? What are you saying about pizza? Pizza? What is that?" So then it's just kind of like interesting, right? It's just like a philosophy. So just kind of like interestingly, so just I put one mandala today. In the many mandala, actually you see that there is a square, and then there's a circle, and there's a triangle, and then there's like a half moon, right? Many times like a half circle. So kind of like but nobody really actually knows, right? Sometimes when you look at how pizza is served, then pizza made in a round and then packed in a square box and eat as a triangle, and then what? I don't know. So I kind of just like today it is a silly kind of thought that came into my mind. So when I saw on my Facebook, it's what's in my mind, then I thought, okay, in my mind today, I have a pizza in my mind. Then I thought, why pizza is round, and it's kind of nothing makes sense, right? And then it's kind of like why it is put in a square box, and then why we eat that in a triangle, right? In a triangle. And so then I thought about maybe this, I will make one mandala out of this wisdom or nonsense wisdom. Generally, in the ancient Buddhist teaching, like some of the teachings that came down through generation after generation, there is some message that handed down from symbols, right? So kind of like one basic elements that we are actually made, kind of like our physical reality, right? On the surface, we as a human being, we have this physical layer or physical aspect or physical reality. So this physical reality that we call the physical life, right? The physical life that we were kind of like our body is formed, and then it was actually formed in our mother's womb, and then how actually it kind of expand, right? The physical body actually expand, and then all the things starting to function, and then like this physical body that we have, then it has like all the senses, right? For example, like we have eye senses to see the color and shapes, and then we, the ear senses that can actually hear the sound and experience the sound, and then we have the nose sense that actually is able to smell, and then we have a tongue sense that will able to actually taste, experience the taste, and then physical kind of like a sensation, right? That we can sense the touch, like a hot, cold, smooth, kind of rough, like all these different kind of temperatures and different kind of sensation, feeling, right? Physical kind of sensation. So, like if we look at this, our physical reality or the physical life that we have, so from the Buddhist point of view, when it was explained, it is actually the collection, right? It is the collection of 5 elements. It's a collection of 5 elements. So these 5 elements somehow generally kind of everybody talks about that, right? We all know what are the 5 elements. Kind of there are general 4 elements, right? In Tibetan we say Sa, Chu, Me, Lung. Sa means earth element, and Chu means water element. Me means fire element. Lung means wind element. And then this kind of 4 element is generally everybody speaks. On top of this 4 element, from the Buddhist, like a Tibetan Buddhist point of view, we add another element that is called the what do you call namke kam. Namka means space or ether or sky, so kind of like this is a namke kam. So if we actually look at our physical form and physical life and physical reality, it is actually the collection of these 5 elements. So these 5 elements somehow, if we give a shape to these 5 elements, then there is actually a shape design. So this shape design, for example, like the earth element, the symbol of the earth element is actually what do you call square. It's a square. Square is the symbol of earth element. And then water element is actually kind of like we call it dakam. Dakam means half moon. So it is kind of like a half moon, like a half circle, or sometime it is also like a oval, right? Oval shape. It's a round, but it's like an egg shape. So that is the symbol of the water element. And then the symbol of the fire element is the triangle. Triangle is the fire element. And then wind element, the wind element is the half dakam, I'm sorry. The water is the oval, and the triangle is the fire, and then dagam, which is the half moon. Half moon is the wind, all right? Half circle is the sign of a symbol of the moon, wind. And then namke kam, the full circle. The full circle, just kind of like a totally full circle, is the symbol of kind of what you call ether, the space element. So like if you actually look at many of the different yantras and mandalas that we made in some ritual, right? In the ritual, you can see there is a different yantra, different mandala, different, so this kind of symbol. So these symbols are interestingly just kind of like I don't know how this symbol actually came as it's a symbol, but maybe it's a natural, right? For example, like in the Tibetan kind of pre-Buddhist culture, like a kind of like a bone, like there are like a symbol of the 5 elements, which actually it was before Buddhism came into Tibet. These symbols were actually kind of established as 5 elements. And then when I visited Japan, I went to some ancient Shinto temple and many Buddhist temple, and I recognize there are some a very ancient kind of like a pillar. So, and this some ancient pillar, actually it's kind of like if you have been to Japan, you must know that before you going into some like a jinja means kind of like a very shrine, like a shrine. There's like a big shrine, and so there are kind of like some kind of like a pillar, but it is like mostly I think it is used in the ancient time to put a candle or lights or something like that inside. And then when one time I was kind of walking and then looking at this one, this kind of like a lamp. It's a lamp post, but there are many lamp posts on the roadside. So, and this lamp post actually has a like a kind of pillar, and then on top there is a So there is something that you can put it inside, so it's empty. And then it has a four side, and these four sides actually have a different shape. So somehow, like one side of the, one side of that is a square, another side is a triangle, another side is like the half moon, and another one is like a, what do you call, kind of like a circle, what do you call it? So there's like four different symbol, or kind of like put it, kind of they carve it like that. So kind of like I asked, so what is this? Does anybody know that why each of these four direction has a different like why this is the square, why it is this one is like a half moon, why this is like a triangle, and why there is like a square, sort of like so. Interestingly, so this in our ancient culture, so somehow we don't know how they communicate, and then sometimes like if we look into some different like a Mayan like in like a far kind of like a west side of the world, like a Mayan, like near Cancun, right? They're like a Mayan culture. Also, there are some very interesting symbols that symbolize four elements. And then I think, and then ancient civilization of like Egypt, so also have. So these are the things that I don't know. Maybe in those days there is no like a communication like these days, but somehow this general symbol is kind of like equally like it kind of like it comes. So that is why sometimes the message of the symbol is very powerful. So so there is something that maybe we should learn. So that is why like when we actually made a mandala, in the mandala, like most like if you have seen the different mandala that in Tibetan ritual we make, right? So there are all these different symbols, and so then somehow it is kind of the language, or the symbol language is kind of like something kind of like it's when you understand, sort of like so like as like when we understand something, so if we understand from the symbol point of view, then actually we actually understand something more. So there are things that we can we can understand from the language, right? Then there are things that we can understand from gesture. There are things that we can understand from symbol, right? So there are things that it is kind of like like when we understand how we understand what it is, then there are many different methods. So there are many different methods that we understand. So then most of the things that we understand from a conception point of view, right? Conception, like how we conceptualized, right? So many of the things that we understand in our day-to-day life is kind of like when we are awake. When we are awake, we understand things from kind of like using our idea, using our thoughts, right? And a lot of the things is we understand from the words, right? If we say something or somebody says something, and then reading, how we read from the letters, right? So there's like we understand. So then like something beyond the word, something beyond the sound, something beyond the kind of like a speech and the sound, or kind of like a little bit, if I can use the word subconscious, like understanding things subconsciously, right? So there's kind of like it is like in the Tibetan Buddhism, we don't use the word conscious, subconscious, unconscious. Kind of like I don't think, maybe it is lack of my knowledge that I don't see, but in the Western, right, in the psychology language, they use the word like a conscious, like conscious level, and then subconscious level, then unconscious level. But like in the kind of like Buddhism, like in Tibetan word, there is some word like Zimba Kunta, Zimba Tenge, sort of like Kunta means like all kind of like all, what do you call, imputed, sort of like, so it is very, so the Zimba Tenge means like something that you actually, what do you call, you actually holding, grasping, holding something, believing something, like innate. So there is some word like that. That is also, like I remember one time in one of the conference, I think it is a Dharma teacher conference that happens in America. I was also there, and so there was one discussion that one time we actually talk about this conscious, subconscious, unconscious, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama actually raised this question. Is when you say unconscious level, like unconsciously holding something, unconsciously, like then is it like from the Tibetan word when we say Lengye, is that same or not? Like he raised this question, so that actually sort of like made us think. But generally, what I'm saying here, the symbol, why symbol is interesting, and maybe when we understand things from the symbol point of view, then maybe it goes a little bit deeper, right? So why I'm saying this is because, for example, we have a kind of waking state of mind, right? Waking state of mind is sort of like we are awake and all our five senses are working active, and then when we are awake, all our five senses are awake, right? Our eye senses is very active, ear senses is very active, nose senses is active, tongue senses active, physical body senses active, and then when we actually connect with the outer world, then like we actually experience all these things using our five senses, and then somehow it actually goes into our mental sense, right? It goes into our mental sense, and then like all it actually kind of like all the information, right? Whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you kind of like whatever you smell, whatever you taste, whatever you actually sense, right? So somehow like there is a one mind mental sense. The mental sense sort of like wherever it's focused. For example, if you're focusing like more toward what you see, then somehow you are actually all the information, actually all the five senses is actually giving equal information to your mental sense, right? And then wherever your mind actually goes, like if it goes more towards the eye, color and shape, then it is kind of like maybe it is what do you call, downloading all the information from your eye senses, right? So, but then just kind of like this mind, sort of like where our mind goes. So many times our mind goes to all these different senses, sort of like not mindfully, right? Sort of like not consciously, sort of like we are not so much aware, right? We are not so much aware where it is going. So somehow our mind goes into all these different senses. So wherever it is wherever it is more powerful, or wherever what do you call it? Wherever it is kind of like what do you call, pulling us, right? Wherever it is pulling us. So somehow where we actually focus our mind to all these different senses is somehow it is kind of running on an autopilot, sort of like in a way, maybe I can say that it is all running in a very it is going unconsciously, right? Unconsciously, or without aware, without knowing, without, it is not kind of, it is not because you premeditated to, send your mind there. So wherever your mind is actually going, so it is collecting all the information. So once it is in gathering into the information of your mental sense, then your mental senses somehow filter it through like all these different stories and different ideas that you have. So somehow then, it kind of like it goes into us, and then how we experience it, right? So in that is kind of like in the waking state, how our mind actually kind of like work. And then there is when we after kind of like a waking time, then we all go to sleep, right? When we go to sleep, then somehow what happens? So with the sleep, what happens is all our five senses kind of like become inactive. So when we sleep, our eye senses also goes to sleep, and ear senses goes to sleep, and nose senses also goes to sleep, and tongue sense is sleeping, but whole body senses is sleeping. So all these things are kind of like now not so busy, right? So only thing that is active is our mind sense, mental sense. So this mental sense somehow kind of like like there is a kind of interesting process that is mentioned in the scripture, like how we go from the waking state into the sleeping state, then how actually it goes. So there's a very detailed process of all this different wind, right? Different wind. So because we have all different wind that is kind of out of a 5 element, right? So earlier I was telling you about the element, right? The earth element is this physical body, right? This physical what do you call this earth? Something that we can touch, something that we can see, something that we can touch, right? So that is like the earth. And then water element is all the what do you call liquid, right? All the liquid part of our body, that's the water element. And then the heat, the warm, right? Warmness, which is kind of like a 98 to 97, 98, kind of like a Fahrenheit degree, kind of like a heat. That is like the fire element, right? And then there's all the breathing and movement, and all this kind of different movement. All these are like a wind element, right? So somehow, sort of there is a kind of interesting process that when we go to sleep, So somehow, like first like the earth element, like of our body, sort of like earth element of our body is what do you call it? Become sort of like some become like a numb and sort of like it is dissolving. That it become inactive, right? Earth element, and then slowly sort of like a water element, and then then after like also like the heat of the body is also I think I don't know much about the scientifically, but somehow the body heat also kind of go a little bit down, right? And then the movement, like the wind movement, breathing kind of like, and then all the different movement in our body is also kind of calm down. And due to that, then eye senses is inactive. So all this so there's kind of like, and then it comes to the wind, right? When it comes to the wind, so there are 5 main wind point. There are 5 root wind that is mentioned in the Buddhist text, ancient text. Sort of like there is one wind that is called the Soksul Lung. Soksul means sort of like a life force wind, life force energy. And then there is like on the throat, there is another wind that is called the Kengyu, sort of like an upward moving wind. And then there is on our like a crown, there is another wind that is like a Kyabje Lung, right? So it's like all pervading wind. And then at the navel, there's like a wind called the Nyamne Lung, right? And then on the base chakra, there is a wind that is called the Tursel in Tibetan. Tursel means downward moving wind. So interestingly, what happens when we go from sleep to awakened state to the sleeping state is that the wind that is on the base and wind that is on the crown, somehow the wind that is base actually comes sort of like it comes up, and then wind that is on the top, on the crown, actually it comes down. So it actually kind of like the wind move from upward towards the heart center, and the wind from the downward, it is coming up towards the heart. So just kind of like interestingly, when this wind actually comes to the heart, then the sleeping state happens. So when we sleep, actually the wind from the down and upward actually gathers at the heart level. So that is kind of like so that is a sleeping state. And then because even during the sleeping state we have this mind, right? Mind that is moving. And then when the mind starting to move little bit, then what happens is that wind is also starting to move little bit upward towards the throat, then downward little bit towards the navel. And then what happens is after the sleeping state, then it will go into the dreaming state, right? It will go into dreaming state. So then somehow you are in a dream state. So when you go into the dreaming state, then the language that use in the dream state is all symbol language. So that is why symbol language is interesting. So just kind of like I think this is that is why as in some there are some technique in the Buddhism, there is called the dream yoga. So which is like when you able to connect with your dream state, and then learning how to kind of understand the symbol language, then everything that is in the dream, because it is in the dream, there's a less conception, because in your dream you are not actually using the gross 5 senses, right? All the gross 5 senses is actually not working. So only thing working is your mind, mental consciousness. So it is actually a less conceptualized. So like things that is active in your dream state is like somehow it is a symbol. It's a language that use is a symbol. So that is why understanding the symbol, like when we understand the meaning from the symbol, is understanding the language of the dream. So that is why maybe I'm actually thinking that so that is a whole another level of understanding, right? A whole another level of understanding. So so that is why sometimes things doesn't exactly make sense, right? Things doesn't make sense. Like there are so many, like in your dream, sometimes things happen, right? For example, if you fall from a huge building in the dream, then actually you will not actually fall. What happened? You will starting to fly, right? You will starting to fly, and so this in our waking state, actually that doesn't make sense, right? So some kind of like maybe there is no gravity, right? There is no gravity in the dream state, so it is kind of like very light. Like even sometime in the Buddhism, like they say that when we are in a dream state, somehow we have a dream body. So we have a dream body. So somehow we don't know that maybe it is all working in a subconscious level. So if we can actually connect with the dream state of being, then it is a whole another level of existence, right? It's a whole another level of existence. It is kind of like in the dream state. I think there is no distance, like a physical distance, right? Sort of like and then time, right? The time also, the space and time in the dream state is totally different from this kind of like in the dream state. Like for example, if you're dreaming that you are somewhere like you are somewhere in India, and then immediately, right, suddenly you can be somewhere like totally in a different kind of place, right? Totally different place. And so kind of like a time, the how time exists in the dream, how space exists in the dream is also very different. So that those things may be kind of like a different understanding. So that's why symbol, I always kind of like wonder that symbol language is a very powerful language. So that is why. Anyway, so whatever today I am saying, maybe it is a little nonsense. So just kind of like I saw this one interesting cartoon, right? There are two monks. One monk actually, so that is why I just put the words there, saying that the one monk, he was a little bit down, saying that nothing makes sense. And then there's on his side there's another monk, he was laughing, and he said, "It does, doesn't it?" So you can take however you want, all right? Anyway, so this is our Wednesday talk. Started with mundane pizza wisdom. So I don't know. Do you know why pizza is made in round, packed in a square, eat as a triangle? So if you understand that, then maybe you will understand this sign language or symbol language. I will not say sign language, it's a symbol language, right? Sign language means totally different, right? So these days people using the sign language, that is, sign. So symbol. So a language of the dream. Anyway, everybody, today I'm just casually talking. about this, symbol thing. And like here, we have so many of our friends here. So I wanted to wish all of you and greet you. And here on my iPad screen, so whatever showing in my iPad screen does not necessarily means you are there, because sometimes what it shows is I don't know how it works also. All right. So here Luan Beringer, I see Tashidelek Luan, and then Lobsang Tarjela Tashidelek, and Mary Milam Tashidelek. So you say as follow up to last week, does decision making happen in the fourth aggregates? Are you talking about the fourth aggregates? Fourth aggregate is just a part of us, right? How we exist, like Pombo Ma, Sugi Pombo, Sorwe Pombo, Dusheki Pombo, Dujeki Pombo, Nambrashebe Pombo. So many times the decision is made from the, I think the third, right? So like something that maybe intention, right? The intention comes from the fourth, right? So like if we go a little bit more down, then many of the decision, how we make a decision in life, maybe first there is something in our consciousness. There is something in our consciousness, and so then, like from the Buddhist point of view, inside our consciousness we carry so many different karmas from our past life, and also karma from this life. So there's like all these different kind of like forces that is already in our consciousness, and then that will kind of like become some sort of like a force or pressure in our fourth aggregates. And then, somehow this, from the fourth aggregate, this kind of force comes, and then this strong sense of dushe, strong sense of conception, strong sense of idea will come. And then this idea will carry us, it will carry us away, and then make a decision, right? So that's kind of something like that, I think. And then Dennis Shaver is watching. Tashidelek, Dennis Shaver, Sonia Ondish, Tashidelek, Sonia, and Mary K. Moses, Tashidelek, thank you for your teaching. You are welcome. And Emily Austin, your wisdom and smile always make my day better. Thank you, Emily, Tashidelek. And then Parwa, Tashidelek, hope all is well. Yes, everything is well. Thank you for sharing your wonderful thoughts and wisdom with us. Many blessings to you. Many blessings to you too. Thank you, Parwa. And Jitka Marigold, Tashidelek. David Kumido, Tashidelek. David, thank you from our deepest heart for your sublime teaching every week. It sustains us. Thank you, David and Kayla. And then Jonathan Sneller, Tashidelek, and Guillermo Domenico Silarno, Tashidelek, greeting from Italy. Sorry, I cannot pronounce your name clearly. My Tibetan accent is very strong. So, Losang Chembe, I think it's a Geshe Chembe, Tashidelek Geshe Chembe, Martin Bosnau. Dearest Rinpoche, I just had a dream where I heard the syllable Nyeka, which I read in a dictionary, means intimate desire. Okay, is it possible that someone is speaking to me for real in my dream? Yeah, and like when it comes in a dream, I think the dream is it's a kind of like a subconscious, right? So there are many different force that comes. Sometimes it comes from our daytime habit, like something that is like a very strong during the day. And sometimes a dream comes from present situation, whatever you are going through. And then sometimes dream also is kind of little bit like a psychic, something that going to happen. So dream is an interesting phenomena that we cannot actually say everything is a psychic or message, but I think there are, yes, I think there are some message. So there's a symbolic message that something that we cannot take literally, I think, Martin, all right? And then Ninju Kumaran, Tashidelek Pranam, Ninju. And what you are saying here, Gurudev, please accept our prostration of reverential gratitude. Thank you. For almost a year now, you have blessed us with this incredible Wednesday teaching. Despite the very late 10 p.m. start time in India, you have been diligently here with us every single week. Even the day you had your COVID vaccination, a day-long puja, you came online. Here at the end of the day, your gracious kindness is truly limitless, precious Master, and we are truly grateful. Namo Namaha. Thank you, Ninju. I'm happy if it is helpful. And then Doro T. Glam, Tashidelek, Janet Campbell, Tashidelek, thank you for your blessing us with your teaching each week. Thank you, you're welcome. And then Christina Lee, Tashidelek, Andrew Wall, Tashidelek, Kudomi Kando, Konnichiwa, Tirza Jacobs, Tashidelek, Tirza, and Uyen Doen, Tashidelek, and Tashipunzola, Tashidelek, Dennis Shaver, Tashidelek. Thank you, these days, wisdom and thoughts, you're welcome. And then or Dobum Rinpoche, Tashidelek, if you are there, you are saying Emaho Foundation. Thank you, Rinpoche. So I am just, saying something doesn't make sense. And then Michael Gray is watching. Michael Gray, Tashidelek, Sandra Baraza, Tashidelek, anytime soon are we going to see you in Arizona? I hope, all the COVID things will clear. I already got my first dose of vaccination, and so initially they said that I should get the second dose after 28 days, but then yesterday I saw that they changed that now like between 6 to 8 weeks after you get the first dose, we should get, so that's kind of like an India healthcare announcement that I saw, that so it is like after 45 days of first dose, then we should get the second dose. So hopefully this vaccination will help everybody to overcome from this COVID situation in the world. So in the meantime, I think we all should be very careful, and even, I wanted to say that even if you have taken your vaccination, but still just kind of like we have to be a little careful, just going into the kind of like a crowded place with the mask, and then washing our hands and just taking cautious and being careful. I think it is a good thing. So hopefully when these all things clear, then hope we will all gather in Arizona. All right. And Leginger One, Tashidelek, Miho Kodarai Tashidelek, Miho Sang. And David Rinpoche, can you tell us a little more about the value of dream yoga practice? Yes, the value of dream yoga practice is very powerful, but I personally don't have any experience. I didn't I get some teaching, but when it comes to the practice, I don't have much practice on dream yoga. So there are some information that I know, but and I think definitely it is very valuable to do the dream yoga. So there are sort of like information that I can give, but that's kind of like, it's a lot of information to really go into the detail of the dream yoga. Yeah. Veronica Corbett, Tashidelek, Veronica, Luishan, Tashidelek, and Manika, thank you for your beautiful nonsense. Nothing you say is anything but love and compassion. Keep the beautiful laughter going. Tashidelek from Arizona, Emaho Rinpoche, enjoying Tibet week at Emory University. Okay, please enjoy. And they are creating a live mandala to view from the past 3 days and going through Saturday Compassion, emory.edu. And Regula, Tashidelek Rinpoche from Regula. Tashidelek, thank you for the teaching. Tantra is full of symbols. How can we, through meditation, understand the meaning of these symbols? Many of these symbols is kind of like interestingly understand without using a lot of conception. So I think it is like mostly you can experience it from your experience. So to be able to understand the symbol, the message of the symbol, it's like you have to go a little bit beyond conception. So I think so that is why in the Vajrayana practice, somehow we have to go a little bit beyond, right? A little bit beyond what do you call? Like beyond ordinary conception. So somehow it is like a beyond ordinary conception. Then I always think beyond ordinary, then it is extraordinary. So what is meant by beyond ordinary, it is extraordinary. Extraordinary means become more ordinary, to go more into ordinary, not like a extraordinary is not outside of the ordinary. So it is maybe more into the ordinary, right? So Ninju's prostration, Gurudev, may we humbly request a teaching on Guru Yoga, please. I already did the Guru Yoga Gadel right? So about a third of our lifespan is split. And it will be such a profound blessing to begin to utilize that precious time properly. Yes, I think just kind of like most of the time, Guru Yoga practice is of course that is helpful with a lot of teachings, but the Guru Yoga practice is mostly, it is actually done on a more practical level on your day-to-day life, I think. So, yes, first gathering information how to do Guru Yoga is important, but when it is kind of in our day-to-day life, I think it is more than teaching. It is important to kind of like to take it practically, like from more like an experience point of view. Somehow I think Ninju, you are actually doing that in your day-to-day life. So I think that is a good Guru Yoga practice. All right. And then Sandra Brother Rinpoche, I am going to be 44 years old Friday. Is there importance in double-digit number birthday from the Buddhist perspective? Hope to see you soon in person. Yes, so Friday, if you're going to be 44, happy birthday in advance. So, yes, number, there are numerologies, not sure so much, I don't have much information about the number, but, yes, 4 plus 4, it's 8. So, it's a good number, abundance number, all right? And then one can, Namo Amitabha Wong, Tashidelek. And then Manika is saying, I'm 66 this past month. Okay, so that is good. 6 plus 6 is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. So number 3. And Miho-san studied to dream and feel like dream is figuring out the reality. Right, that is true. And then I see Ninju, sorry, I meant dream yoga teaching, all right? Okay, so that's your typo. Yeah, dream yoga teaching. As I said, I don't have a much. I have information. I receive it from some masters, but I don't have much experience on that teaching. So maybe hope someday we can make the dream yoga teaching and do the practice together or something like that. All right. And so I think that is pretty much it. And then I see Lobsang Khedru member is also watching Tashidelek, and Kandru Sangye Drama watching Tashidelek. Tenzin Khedru, if you're watching Tashidelek. So that is about it for our Wednesday. So everybody, so it is getting late here, and have a wonderful. If it is a night, then good night. If it is a day, have a good day. And please stay safe, strong, and then see you next week. Okay.